May this be the perfect car if you're looking for efficiency, comfort, practicality, and even price. But probably the most important thing for a wagon is the storage space in the back, and you get plenty in this vehicle as well. This is a Suzuki Swace, but you might be saying, Henrik, wait a minute, this is not the Suzuki, this is a Toyota. Well, I mean, it is built on the exact same manufacturing line, it's built in the exact same factory. It is basically a Toyota Corolla Touring Sports, but it's a little bit cheaper, looks a little bit different from the outside, but otherwise it's basically a Toyota. Starting price of this is going to be 37,190 euros, and that's already the top spec variant. You can only in Germany choose the Comfort Plus, which is the top spec variant, and then you can pick up different colors. A total of 6. We have the dark blue mica metallic color on here, which is going to cost you 690 euros extra. And therefore our test vehicle 37,880 euros. And for that you get a car that is already so well equipped, looking fairly decent and also very efficient. So there's really not much points you can point this car out which is not that great. We're going to look at some things that are not going to be the best. In the front, the bumper in the front is going to look a little bit different than to Toyota. You also have obviously the Suzuki logo on the top, or Suzuki logo on the top. We also get a different light signature in here. These are full LED lights with high beam assistant, which are going to be automatic. A little bit of air intakes in the front for the grille. But here on the side, these are going to be fake. Let's now look under the hood, where you only have one option for the engine. And that engine is going to be a 1.8 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine as a full hybrid. If you want a more powerful one, you're going to have to choose Toyota, where you can get a 2-liter one of this engine, as well as a full hybrid variant, obviously. This engine is going to produce 98 horsepower and 142 Newton meters. Combined, because we do have that electrical component, you're going to be looking at 140 horsepower with a CVT gearbox. Top speed 180 kilometers an hour with also 0 to 100 in 9.7 seconds. Or 9.2, 9.5, 9.5 seconds. 9.4, he's pointing 4 fingers up. So 9.4 seconds from 0 to 100. And also the electrical component is going to be 0.8 kilowatts an hour battery size. So in total, we actually have a very efficient car here with a WLTP of 4.5 liters. What we actually got, we're going to look at here when we're driving, obviously. And in the back, you can definitely tell that they did something to this Toyota, because the Suzuki logo is kind of just implemented on top of where otherwise the Toyota logo would be. And it's also glued on top. So I'm not even completely sure if there maybe isn't well, a Toyota logo on the back. When we're looking at the back, fairly clean, simple design here. Swace, Suzuki. We have also a fairly big rear window here, which is also tinted. A little bit of a roof spoiler. In my opinion, the color just fits very well to this well, design and also the black touches, as well as some chrome elements down here, which kind of make you think they're of fake exhaust pipes, but still a fairly decent design. And obviously our rear lights here as well. When it comes to the trunk, that's obviously not going to be electrical, but a very big one. We're looking at 596 liters up to 1,606 liters with a 60-40 split there in the back. And we can also look down here where you can see you could even put a tire down there or use it as some more storage space. And the nice thing is, if you want to put out that back there, you can also just take out the side supports here, because otherwise you have some cupboard space in here. But if you just want to use the full space, then take those out and you have a lot more space there. And we can also flip over our rear seats with the button back here, which is quite nice. So you take that lever and it's going to flip all the way over, with also no loading gap there, which is nicely also covered up with that little top there, as well as a hat rack up on the top if you need it. The only thing that's not the nicest thing about this car is the towing capacity, because you're looking at 750 kilograms, which is not the most if you want to tow something on the back. I've also wrote down some competition, which we're going to look at now. For instance, a Hyundai i30 as a wagon as well. You're looking at a start price of 28,990 euros with no hybrid option there. That obviously is going to be less, well, no full hybrid system. You're not going to have as much standard equipment on there. You're going to have to select a lot more to actually get up to the top variant like it is standing here. So I'm just going to read out starting prices. Kia Ceed sports wagon, for instance, also no hybrid system, 1,000 euros cheaper than the Hyundai i30. Then you also have the Toyota Corolla Touring Sports, which is basically the same car. That's going to start at 34,540 euros due to the fact that they also have a lot of different variants that you can pick up in order to, well, be a little bit cheaper than the Suzuki. But the Suzuki in the starting price that it's here is a lot more well equipped than what you're getting at Toyota at a starting price. Then you also have the Skoda Octavia as a wagon as well, 28,490. You can also pick that up as a hybrid variant for 31,110 euros. That is definitely going to be a car that's going to drive a little more sporty and also look, in my opinion, a little bit better. Skoda just has some amazing designs. And you can also pick up a Seat Leon ST in the e-hybrid variant. Starting price there, 31,110 euros. The hybrid variant is going to be 33,107 euros. And that's, again, going to be a car that's just going to feel a little bit more sporty. But again, those are all standard equipment. And here you're paying 37,109 euros for already the most or the best variant that you can pick up from this car. Let's also look at the dimensions of the car. We're looking at 4 meters and 65 of length, 1 meter and 79 wide, wide without the side mirrors extended, and also 1 meter and 46 tall, with a wheelbase of 2 meters and 70, so a fairly long one, but the turning circle in here is actually still quite decent, with 10 meters and 4 centimeters or 40 centimeters, and therefore a very, well, good car for the city, in my opinion, because it's still very practical and easy to turn in the city. The thing about this car is you can't pick up any variants. So we already have the highest variant in here, and with that you get, for instance, 16-inch rims, which are going to get a good ride quality and, well, comfort in there. Hybrid here is the exact same as it would be on the Toyota. We get keyless entry and keyless go, and therefore we also get automatically foldable side mirrors. If you, instance, open it, it's obviously going to turn. We don't have a panoramic window or something like that. We can, however, load 75 kilograms onto the roof, and we also have privacy glass here in the back. If you would theoretically pick up, well, not theoretically, on the other side of the car, you're going to be able to fuel up the car with a fuel tank of 43 liters with a WLTP of 4.5. We've been averaging around 5 liters theoretically. So theoretically around 860 kilometers of range with what we are currently consuming. And in the back, you can see I actually got quite a lot of space here. Legroom is definitely there, so knee room. Foot room is also quite plenty. If I obviously move the seat up, there's going to be more space. The only thing where you don't have much space is the headroom. I have around, yeah, I'd say around 3 finger heights of space there. I'm 1.80 meters tall, 5'11". If you're maybe 6'1", 1.85 meters, somewhere right around there, you will have a little bit of headroom issue here, but that's okay in my opinion. There's also quite a good amount of, well, flexibility in here for your knee room because the seats are quite squishy. Seating position here is nothing special, but still fairly nice. You got quite a good amount of side room here. You can also see the center tunnel is going to be fairly wide, but not high at all. But if I'm sitting in the center, for instance, actually I can fit in here quite nice. I am not going to have to intrude on my neighbors. Let's also look on the quality on the side, because up here we actually get softer material, and down here nice soft material with also stitching, and here's going to be a little bit harder material, and down here obviously plastic, but fairly high quality there, feels fairly decent for its price segment there. One thing I am kind of missing here in the center is that we don't have USB-Cs or USB to charge your phone. It's only going to be available through the front. We also have inductive charging space there, but you are going to have your climatization in the back here, but not your own climate zone. We also have a center armrest where you have 2 cup holders in there, which is quite nice. But ISOFIX points, yeah, they're also very easy to get to. You can just flip that out and you have your ISOFIX points, so quite comfortable for that as well. And now welcome in the inside of the Suzuki. When we're looking at the inside, the quality again is quite nice here. Soft material up here, down here, and on obviously further down is going to be hard plastic, but even up here with nice stitching all throughout. I personally actually find this quite high quality for the price segment that you're paying here. When it comes to the center console, you actually got quite nice, or center dashboard I should say, your climatization with 2 buttons in here, and then otherwise, or rotary dials, and then just buttons for everything, which is amazing. I love that combination. Then an engine's going to start up currently to recharge the battery a little bit. And up here, sorry about the flickering, I'll turn it off here in a second. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, wireless in here. It's quite high up, so it takes a lot of the space up on the top in my opinion. Navigation system is in here as well, and then your typical Toyota, Lexus, and also Suzuki, I guess, layout. Which is very simple to use. There's not much individualization that you can choose here, so I'm just going to turn that off now. That's the audio. Can I hold it down to turn it off? There we go. I'm going to keep that turned off just so it's not going to flicker for you. Let's look at the downside here, but the downstairs as well. We have inductive charging space up here. Okay, it's going to turn on again. Great. We also have heated seats, high and low, so just two settings there. Drive modes, EV mode, obviously our gear selector, parking brake, and also auto hold. Down here we have very little space, with one USB-C and also a 12-volt right there. And 2 cup holders in the center. Glove compartment is obviously quite decently sized as well. Let's now start up and drive forward. And there you can see a 10.4 meters, so quite good of a turning circle. Rear view camera is not going to be the highest quality, and also no trajectory lines which are going to move along, and you can also change the view of it. We also get no heads-up display. We get a full digital cockpit, which is quite nice. We can see all our relevant information there, and also go through a couple of views to basically take a look at what we want. There's not too much customization there of what you can choose from. Currently we're driving in full EV, which you can obviously tell by there's no engine. If we, however, let's quickly go into the sport mode. There's sport, normal, and eco. Let's kick it down. Going uphill, not a decent punch, 140 horsepower, you're obviously not expecting too much. You can obviously hear that ECVT now with a full, no shifting obviously in there, because it has a theoretical infinite gears, which adjust to your driving input, your power input, and what the car kind of needs right now. And therefore one of the most efficient gearboxes as well, which is quite nice, because the efficiency in this car is quite good. Let's actually look at it straight away to see what we've been averaging. Our driving mode now, last 13 minutes, 70% of those were in full EV, and since we've reset this tripometer, 5.5 liters. That does include some highway driving and some city driving as well, so not the most efficient way you can drive, and always in normal mode as well, with some kickdowns. If you drive this car very eco-friendly, I've seen lots of reports where they're getting 60 miles per gallon, for instance, or 67, so around, 4.5, 4.7, somewhere right around there. So this is very efficient, and then you can even get maybe close to 1,000 kilometers. The way we're driving here, 860 kilometers, which is still a lot, and very nice. Isolation here at 100, well, let's go up to 100. You can hear a little bit of wind noise coming here from the side. It's also a fairly windy day today, but still for the price segment, I think a fairly decent isolation. And also the ride quality in here is quite nice. We're looking at 16-inch rims, obviously, so therefore we have a lot of, let's just say, tire wall, and therefore the ride quality is going to be a little bit increased. And the suspension here is just made to be a little bit more comfortable and not sporty, but still I think you actually can drive this car a little bit more faster around the corners. There's going to be a lot of body lean. If you're looking for something more sporty, you're obviously going to be looking at the Skoda or even the Seat, or maybe even a Cupra, depending on what you want to pick up. But otherwise, this is quite comfortable to drive. The suspension, and not the suspension, transmission does a good job of, well, you really don't know if you're driving full EV right now or the combustion. It does a good transition between the two. Currently we're in full in EV, and then we're going to go into the power here as well in a second. Well, not if we're rolling down the hill, but it just does a good job between those. You can also go down here into B to have some more regenerative braking, so just the B mode basically for brake, to just regenerate that a little bit more, to drive even more, a little bit more efficient if you theoretically want, and more brake assistant there. For the safety features, we also get quite a lot in here. Adaptive cruise control with lane centralization. We get blind spot assistance. We get that rear view camera, collision warner. And also, if you look out the back, the window is going to be fairly small, but the pillars are going to be fairly slim. So it's actually not too bad when it comes to the visibility. However, the rear window is obviously not going to be the biggest, and therefore limited there on the back. But you can judge the car quite well when it comes to the size of it. And then you also have, what I like is just a lot of physical buttons in here. Like I already said, you have physical buttons here. Everything on the steering wheel is physical. Then you have buttons on the side, for instance, your high beam assistance, heated steering wheel, which you also get, traction control. Basically, everything is just physical, but then you have that nice digital cockpit, a fairly big display, which is just a great combination, in my opinion. And I just like my physical buttons, and therefore it is, in my opinion, a very well made combination of the two. And then when you're driving in the city, it is just also very smooth to drive and very efficient and comfortable. With that EV, that's what I always like with a full hybrid system. You can drive in the city, you can have that EV pleasure of just cruising around with a very easy driving style, and then also efficient one, and then you can even use it for highway driving for longer distance with that combustion engine, and still looking at a fairly low consumption, which is just great about this car and in full hybrid system in general. And I think what this car really does a good job at is just the simplicity of driving it. It is so easy to drive. Steering input is still going to be fairly nice, actually fairly direct and also easy to drive. But yeah, anybody who steps in this car can basically drive it. I don't know, there's really not much to complain about in this car. That I'd say maybe a little bit more horsepower. If you want a little bit more, then you're going to be looking at the Toyota, obviously. And if you want something like a 360-degree camera, there's just not much individuality that you can choose in this car, because you get what you offered. You can't choose anything apart from the color on the outside. So if you want more individuality, you're obviously going to have to choose a different car. But in my opinion, the stuff that you get in here is already more than you need for your for your daily usage, in my opinion. Even for longer journeys, it's going to be quite comfortable in here. If you're looking for something that completely fits all the criteria of a station wagon, then this car is going to be that perfect fit. It's efficient, it's practical, good amount of boot space, it is comfortable to drive, and it's also fairly well priced. It's a car where you kind of get that feeling, you actually spend your money and you feel like you got something decently valued for that. In my opinion, a car that fits everything for a person that doesn't want a car that's going to drive sporty, something that's efficient and good for longer journeys and practical. And that's where I think this car fits in perfectly. Obviously, it is a copy of the Toyota, and therefore it is going to be fairly reliable, hopefully as well. And in my opinion, they could have changed maybe a little bit more on the design on the outside, just to not feel like you're completely just driving Toyota. Maybe change a little bit of the things there, would have been a little bit nicer. What do you think of this car? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.